and gradually rise to the platform of ecstasy and spontaneous love. And the two kinds of devotional service, namely devotional service through regulative principles and through spontaneous love, were discussed. Within the stage of the regulative principles of devotional service, there are two divisions, namely executive and effective. This effective portion of devotional service is called bhava, or ecstasy. In this connection, let's break that down. Executive, what does executive mean?
Execute.
You would just do it. Just execute. Just follow the instructions. That's what an executive means. An executive, like in a business, for example, is usually not the owner of the business, but he's a manager appointed by the owner to carry out certain functions. So the business owner says, you do this. Make our profit next quarter. And the executive, like, yes, sir. He goes off and does it. He executes the plan, which is created by the owner. Okay? So in the beginning of devotional service, we don't have much idea what's going on. It's like we just have to execute the instructions. Just do it. Why? Because it says here, that's what you're supposed to do. If we get into a big, long explanation, then it gets in the way of actually doing. So in the beginning, it's best to just do it. Okay? But then you reach a stage called the effective stage. And you know, I think that actually should be affective. Affective. There's a difference between the English word effect and affect. Affect, or affective, is a psychological term that refers to the emotional experience that you get from some process, or, it's called affect, emotional affect. Some event or something that you experience creates a certain emotional impression on you. And that technically is termed the affect. So I think this is one of our good old editorial goofs here. Prabhupada knows what he's talking about. And he used the word affective, and they substituted the word effective. Because there's no definition of effective. The word effective actually fits the context here. So the affective portion of devotional service is called bhava, or ecstasy. And we went over many, many different kinds of bhava in our Sunday satsang series some time back. In this connection, there is a statement in the Tantras that ecstasy is the first symptom of pure love for the personality of Godhead, and in that stage, one is sometimes found shedding tears or shivering. Not always are these symptoms manifest, but occasionally. Okay, so Prabhupada doesn't quote the specific tantra. But I remember I got into a big argument with a devotee in LA one time because I said, there's a lot of material in Nectar of Devotion that's drawn from the tantras. And I guess he thought I was talking about, so-called tantric yoga or tantric sex or something like this. We got into a big argument about it, but here's the quote, right here in chapter 17. There's a statement in the Tantras. Well, it turns out that many of the divisions of Vedic literature, such as the Puranas, the Upanishads, the Itihasas, and so on, are divided into three. For people in the mode of goodness, people in the mode of passion, and people in the mode of ignorance. For example, there are 18 Puranas written by Vyasadeva. And of these 18, 6 are for people in the mode of ignorance, 6 are for those in the mode of passion, and 6 are for those in the mode of goodness. So naturally, the Bhagavad Purana, or Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, is for people in the mode of goodness. And we don't much hear about or bother with the others. So there are tantras in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of passion, and in the mode of goodness. The tantras in the mode of goodness deal with the process of devotional service. Those in the mode of passion deal with demigod worship, and like that. And the tantras in the mode of ignorance deal with like black arts and sexual stuff and that kind of stuff. Mode of ignorance. But this quote is from one of the tantras in the mode of goodness. Just because, you see, when the British are always trying to discredit the Vedic culture. So when they translated the tantras, the first ones that they translated were the weird, Buddhist tantras having to do with different sexual rituals and stuff like this. They didn't translate the tantras in the mode of goodness. They only translated the ones in the mode of ignorance. So everybody got this impression that tantra equals sex, but it's not true at all. Actually, there are thousands of tantras, and they deal with all kinds of things. Everything from the highest devotional service to how to do many practical things like agriculture and building, and how to do temple worship, how to select a guru, how to manage a family, how to manage economy, and so many things. Tantras are very extensive. But the theme of the tantras that ties them all together is how to live a spiritual life in the material world. So here we're getting a quote from the tantra that the affective portion of devotional service is called bhava, or ecstasy. In this connection, there's a statement in the tantras that ecstasy is the first symptom of pure love for the personality of Godhead, and in that stage one is sometimes found shedding tears or shivering. Not always are these symptoms manifest, but occasionally. When King Ambarish was put into difficulty by Durvasa, he began to think of the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus there were some changes in his body, and tears were falling from his eyes. These symptoms are activities of ecstasy. They are visible in the shivering of the body and the shedding of tears. After the outward appearance of these ecstatic symptoms, they stay within the mind, and continuation of the ecstasy is called samadhi. This stage of appreciation becomes the cause of future exchanges of loving affairs with Krishna. You understand? It's just like in a disease, there's the acute stage of disease, and then there's the chronic stage of the disease. In the acute stage of a disease, one may have external symptoms like fever and maybe breaking out in spots and stuff like that. But in the chronic stage of a disease, it remains like in a dormant phase. And there may be some symptoms, but they're more internal. You see? So similarly, in devotional service, there's a stage when the symptoms are manifest and people can see them externally. And this stage is called blazing. When someone is blazing, when ecstatic symptoms are blazing, like a fire that's blazing, it's putting out a lot of flames and light, and everyone can see. That's like the acute stage of devotional service. But then there's a chronic stage where these symptoms go deep within the heart, and over a long period of time they cause changes in our heart. Our heart becomes cleansed and purified and focused on Krishna. See? Out of ecstatic love. And this ecstatic love can build up for a long time, months or weeks or years even, and then suddenly burst forth in flaming. Like that. And that's called smoldering. Smoldering. Just like right now, the fire is smoldering. It's gone down a little bit. But then if you put some more sticks and you change the arrangement of the logs, boom, it'll flare up like that. It'll blaze. So similarly, the certain external impetus for devotional service will cause a blazing up of this fire, that's incubating in the heart of the devotee, and the symptoms become visible. Elevation to this stage of I should mention that. Then one begins to contemplate internally on this ecstasy. You see? Devotional ecstasy doesn't mean like always running around like a madman and falling on the ground and doing this and that. It may happen sometimes. And certainly when one attains a new platform or a new higher level of ecstasy, there's often a breakthrough experience when the symptoms are manifest externally like that. But then after that, the same ecstatic love that causes those symptoms becomes internalized, you see? And it becomes a focus of one's contemplation over a substantial period of time. And this is called samadhi. It means a constant contemplation or constant relishing of devotional love. You'll often see a devotee just kind of off somewhere,